Well, y'all, there's been a debate that's been raging in the biker community for years, and that question is, do loud pipes save lives? I'm going to weigh in on it today. Let's talk about it.
Now, I'm sure we've all heard myth number 5, that loud pipes save lives.
And there's been a lot that's been said on this topic. There's been a lot that's been written on this topic. And there's recently have been a lot of articles that have come out and definitively said no, that loud pipes don't save lives. So they say the science is settled. So I want to start off by saying that I think personally that motorcycle exhaust systems can, under the right circumstance, make you safer. And there's a couple different points I want to emphasize that kind of ground this position. Let me give you a little bit of information about my bona fides. First of all, I went to college. Now, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but in one of the college classes we took a lot of, because my undergraduate degree was science-based, a lot of it was science-based. I have a bachelor's of science degree. We went over in my undergraduate program the scientific method quite a bit, and it was ground into us, what is science, what is the scientific method, what does it take to get to a general consensus in the scientific community. The scientific method is the sole vehicle of how we figure out how things work in the field of science, in any field of science, whether that be physics, whether that be psychology, whether that be chemistry. Scientific method is what we use. It's the tried and true method to get to scientific conclusions using the scientific method. And in all the vlogs and in all the news articles I've seen on this topic, there are two major studies that are quoted. There is a study out of Romania that was conducted over there by the University of Bucharest. And then there is the Hertz study, which was conducted back in the 80s. Let's start with the Hertz study. So a lot of people like to say that this is definitive. It shows that loud pipes don't save lives because a lot of the accidents were occurring from the front. And that's true. The Hertz study did conclude that a lot of motorcycle accidents occur because drivers turn into the path of motorcycles. And a lot of these accidents are front end collisions. However, there's an issue with that. So when the Hertz study made that conclusion, they concluded off of the available evidence that was to them, the statistics of motorcycle crashes that were indicated as front-end collisions. But what they can't test for and what they don't study is the fact that a lot of these didn't come from the rear. And why is that? Well, arguably, if these riders are riding defensively and are using exhaust systems that are loud in pitch, loud in note, loud in decibels, then yes, it's going to be difficult for them to capture that kind of data because there's no way to test for an accident that didn't happen. But if you're going to use statistics, it's important to understand not only what your statistics indicate, but what they do not indicate. So a lot of this, like I said, front-end collisions, they don't account for side collisions and don't account for collisions that come from the rear, which, there you go, it can show that loud pipes can save lives in the sense that it won't stop a front-end collision from happening, but it will stop from someone coming over on you from the side or coming up from behind and hitting you from behind, because presumably that's the direction in which most of the sound is being projected. So although the Hertz study had its conclusions, it's important to see what they didn't conclude, and it's important to see what information, what statistics they relied upon, because what they don't indicate also tells a story. This is the one study that's so often cited and so often relied upon by those vloggers, by those news articles, to say that loud pipes don't save lives because they actually tested it in a parking lot. Let's look at the methodology of the Romanian study. So the Romanian study utilized motorcycles that are in a parking lot as well as vehicles that are in an open parking lot. There's no other obstacles anywhere around these vehicles. There's nothing around these vehicles other than the motorcycle and the vehicle itself. This test was conducted in an open parking lot. There were a few trees there, but that's just about it as far as the simulated roadway conditions. I would argue that's not a realistic portrayal of the dynamic riding environment that a lot of vehicles, a lot of motorcycle riders find in the United States. The vehicle types and stuff are similar, I'm sure. The truth of the matter is, although the vehicle types and motorcycles are similar, that doesn't accurately simulate the dynamic driving environment that we often enter as we ride our motorcycles down the road. There's going to be other cars. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be buildings. There's going to be 18-wheelers. There's going to be all those other things that are around you in that dynamic riding environment that simply just don't show up in this study or aren't accounted for in this study. Another problem with the methodology of this study is we don't know what bikes were used during the experiment. From the photos and the video that's given to us in this video from, I guess, whatever safety body that is over in Romania, we see a bunch of adventure bikes and we see maybe a sport bike. But what we don't know is if there were any American cruisers or Japanese cruisers with modified exhaust that were used in this experiment. We don't know what these bikes had as terms of modified exhaust or if they were even modified at all. We just have decibel levels. So it's hard to pinpoint what exactly they were using, whether we can say same with Harley Davidson or not. Was there a V-twin that was tested? We don't know that. So overall, I have some pretty significant issues with the methodology of this study. Not only is it the artificialness of the open parking lot, the lack of the dynamic riding environment, the lack of the dynamic throttle changes and input changes from the motorcycle, because what they did in this study from the video is that they just revved it to max RPM a couple of times and did it that way. But you don't have varied terrain environments. You don't have sound bouncing off different things in the environment. You don't have varied pitches in throttle. And again, we don't know if a V-twin was even used. So all of these issues point back to some flaws in the methodology of this experiment and really call into question the results. Do these translate to an American V-twin operating on an American roadway in a busy city street, out in the countryside, in a canyon? We just don't know. And we certainly don't know enough for articles and vlogs to be written about this to say definitively that loud pipes don't save lives. The further you are away, the harder it is to hear, absolutely. But wouldn't you rather have that little bit of protection? In the dynamic driving environment that is the roadway, seconds count. Any amount of warning counts. So if you have a driver who's absolutely out of their mind, distracted, don't know what's going on, they're texting on their phone or whatever, and they hear a motorcycle and they look up and they have that split second to do something, wouldn't you like to give the driver that split second to be able to try to avoid versus not at all and just running you over? That is a good question. Now, how do we get there? How can we conclude that this is the case? Because all I'm doing right now is positing. I'm just throwing ideas out there. These are all ideas that probably need to be fleshed out. I'm not a scientist. I'm not out there conducting these studies. I don't know. But I do know that the scientific community, the same scientific community that came out with the Hertz study and the same scientific community that came out with the Romanian study, y'all listen to this. Y'all go out here and test this. Y'all go up to these different types of riding environments, an urban riding environment, a rural riding environment with canyon walls, some kind of closed-in area like a canyon or a valley or something like that, or even a closed-in area with buildings on each side. You know, come up with these different types of scenarios and test these different dynamic riding environments to see if any of this makes a difference. Also, for the person or the entity that runs the study, I would challenge you. Let's see what the types of motorcycles that you're testing. Are you using sport bikes? Are you using adventure bikes? What types of modified exhaust are you using? Are you using the stock exhaust? Are you using, what brands are you using? I would like to know. were any of these V-twin type motorcycles or any of these American V-twin motorcycles? What kind of exhausts were you using on these? We would like to know. That's what's going to make the difference, and that's what's going to give us our definitive answer. At the end of the day, I'm not out trying to prove who's right, who's wrong. If you like loud pipes, get them. I don't care. If you hate loud pipes, don't get them. I don't care. But at the end of the day, I'm just concerned for safety. So if this is something that makes us safer, it would be good to know. But me, anecdotally, I believe, just my personal opinion, that there is some margin of safety afforded by loud pipes. It's just not the end-all, be-all, cure-all that a lot of people have said. I think in limited circumstances that this can help you, and it's better than nothing. Just like a riding jacket is better than going bearskin on the asphalt. It may not save everything. You may still get a little bit of road rash. You may tear through the pads, tear through the leather, whatever, get a little scratch, whatever, but it's better than nothing. It's better than going down on the pavement without. A helmet won't stop every force from coming in and hurting your noggin, but it's better than nothing. So again, all we do in motorcycling is we accept a tremendous amount of risk getting on the bike every day, going out in traffic, doing whatever we do. Everything that we can do to mitigate that risk just a little bit, to me, is worth it. Might not be worth it to everybody, but to me it's worth it. So, again, if you like loud pipes, get them. If you hate loud pipes, don't get them. The question remains, do loud pipes actually make you safer? And I think the scientific community needs to do some more research to flesh that out. So I call on NHTSA, I call on CE, I call on whatever safety authority is out there. Y'all look into this, y'all test this, find out. We want to know. We as the motorcycle community want to know, and I think if you're serving safety, if that's your main goal, we deserve to know. The motorcycle community deserves to know once and for all, do loud pipes make you safer?